don't have an intro for this.
Yeah, we don't have an intro.
There's no intro?
Well, we already did the no intro.
Oh, so we can't do it again?
No.
I think this was the intro.
No.
I've got a really bad headache right now, but it's like I feel weird. I'm seeing things all over the place that don't exist, like two of everything. So if I'm like kind of looking at the camera, but you can't tell where I'm really focusing, it's because I'm crazy and I've got a headache.
Logan, lazy eye edition. Oh gosh.
Cispa's back. I'm so happy about that. But we'll talk about that in a second. First off, let's get through the meta segment. We launched Beer Games Beer. At least we've launched the page. We haven't launched any videos yet. We have 1,400 subscribers, and some of the people on here are talking,
What YouTube channel that has subscribers has no videos? Which one has the most subscribers?
Yes, that's it. So which YouTube channel with no videos has the most subscribers? And I think we're going to win an award if we keep this up. So guys, subscribe to Beer Games Beer. It's going to be our gaming channel. If you do not care about gaming content, about streaming, about ridiculous gaming videos, do not subscribe to Beer Games Beer.
Well, now, there has been some pretty epic, chivalry streams on Twitch TV, I guess.
Yeah, I did Chivalry. I've also played Morrowind heavily modded. It looks almost... Well, I think it looks better than vanilla Skyrim because the textures are 2048. So anyway, coming up soon, I'm going to be streaming some Showdown Effect. That game looks like a lot of fun. I've got the beta for that, and I'm going to give away a beta key for that. We're going to be streaming some Antichamber. If you like your mind to hurt like mine does now, you can watch that. Maybe some System Shock 2. And we've also got Crisis 3, and Pistol might stream that, I'm not sure. But we want to know what else you guys want to see on Beer Games Beer. I'll stream it whenever I'm playing a game. We'll throw it up there. We've been doing a lot on Twitch TV / Beer Games Beer as well.
We may also do the D&D thing.
Oh, yeah, Dungeons & Dragons. Streaming over this. This is all, speculation right now because we're still trying to put together the details. But if we do play D&D over Google Hangouts, we will stream it there. And I probably won't do too many, tech Q&A. I think Linus has that covered. And you guys do watch Linus, and I'll try not to stream at the same time. Last week, someone's like, hey, are you watching the Linus stream? I'm like, no, I'm streaming at the same time. So I'll try to make sure that my streams don't conflict with his streams, or I'll end my stream before his stream begins. So that way we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Although we're not going to rule out the possibility maybe of doing live inbox type things, possibly.
Maybe, that would be fun. Yeah. All right, so this is kind of funny. This is what it's like to have a job like Wendell has here. He's making websites all day long. Have you seen this guy on Elance? He wants a website like Amazon, but he wants it to be better. He wants there to be a freelance job section. He wants there to be an auction section like eBay, and he also wants classifieds like Craigslist, and he wants forums for $1,000. This is a serious post. People think that this is what happens, and you get this kind of stuff on a daily basis. They're like, what do you mean you can't make a site better than Amazon for $1,000?
I want something like Facebook. It's like,
you get that 10 times a day.
Yeah, it's really, really horrifying.
And can you do it for $1,000?
Yeah.
Like Facebook, but we want more things than Facebook.
I really like the Oatmeal article on this a lot better. It's like how a web design goes straight to hell, because that's basically that's the manual. That's exactly how it is.
I get several emails and people are saying hey man, I want to get into the IT field. Realize that you're going to be dealing with this, because once you're in the IT field, all these guys out there who think they're smart come to you with a brilliant idea. They're like, I've got an idea that'll take over the world. All I need is a nerd like you. And then they tell you this idea and you're like, my God, my ideas are so much better, but they've got money. And you have to listen to those morons. So this is what you have to deal with on a daily basis if you have an IT job. If you get lucky enough to be able to fund your own dreams and things like that, then by all means do it. And if you have your own projects, work on them at nighttime. Moonlight. Make it happen.
Well, most of the time they don't actually have money, but they're like, I'll give you 10% of this thing that I just pulled out of my ass.
Those are the guys I'm going to... I have some very nice things that I cannot say on this show that I usually say to them. Like, really? You think your ideas are that good? Never mind. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the world this week. Cispa is back. It's pretty much the same as it was before. And this came right after Obama's big speech. And he also signed a cybersecurity executive order.
Now, the disturbing thing here is that he just signed an executive order for cybersecurity before the State of the Union.
And they kept it hush.
Yeah, he asked the news organizations not to report on it until after the State of the Union, and they didn't.
That creeps me out.
It does. It really does.
Doesn't our Constitution say that we have freedom of press and that I mean, if I was a news organization, I'd probably be like, dude, go screw yourself. I don't care who you are.
Well, I would say it's an isolated incident, but there's that drone base in Saudi Arabia that nobody reported on for 2 years. But Microsoft, because they can't get their shit together, on Bing, if you go to Bing, you can see the drone base. It's not blurred out, and so it's like, oops.
Yeah.
But no news organization reported on that. That's total
They knew
media.
about it.
Yeah.
But they were like, please don't talk about this. And they're like, oh, of course we won't talk about this because...
That's deeply disturbing. But, the cybersecurity order was about beefing up our infrastructure.
And the EFF is behind this as well.
Yes. So it's totally not tinfoil hat, but at the same time, it's more control of the internet to the White House.
Yeah. And I'm kind of surprised that the EFF did get behind this. I mean, it's good to beef up our security, but it does sort of start paving a road that I'm not sure we want to be paving.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
So, yeah. We got to be watching Cispa, guys. It's there.
Yeah, they're trying to sneak it in this time. We have to respond more quickly.
Should we go to Washington?
Well, I don't really know what the plan of attack there is, but they seem to be moving really quickly. But they didn't change it at all. They're like, okay, boys, let's try it again. And it's like, that's disturbing.
Yeah, maybe the public will miss this time. It's ridiculous that we have to sit there and just stare at everything they do all day long.
Quick, they're distracted by the Super Bowl.
Do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it come across as.
Yeah. In the UK, internet access is, I'm not sure if it's as good as it is here, but, there's a group of farmers that really don't have that fast of internet. So they got together and they created their own private network, and it's 500 megabits per second. In fact, some of it, it's even getting close to gigabit speeds. And look at the download speed there. 917, the upload speed is 530. If we had 530 upload speed here, that would be ridiculous. I mean, this show would be on the internet before we even finish recording it. That fast. That's pretty insane.
We're not allowed to have nice things because the media companies are afraid we're going to start uploading our Blu-rays.
So it's a pretty cool article showing how they did that. I think it's awesome. They got the backhoes out there digging the lines.
Now, it should be noted here that, when municipal, like a local city or a township is like, oh, we're going to do broadband ourselves because companies don't want to.
Companies start suing the local...
The media companies or the cable companies start suing people.
It's ridiculous. That's what we need around here. If every municipality in every town started, setting up their own network, oh my God.
You mean as if internet access were like a public utility, like water or electricity? No, that's absurd.
I don't know exactly how to feel about this, but in Iceland, they are planning and talking about banning pornography on the web. And I'm usually for, everything being free and open and whatever, barring, things that go against people's rights and whatnot. So I don't know how I feel about this. I always have this kind of groovy idea about Iceland. Hey, they're hanging the bankers and they're not taking any garbage from anybody. And, the FBI goes over there undercover and they deport them because they were undercover and, over there pretending to be something else that they were not. So I don't know how to feel about this. I mean...
You guys that are in Iceland, tell us what this is about. Is this like, your Quaker party is trying to make a law and they're just crazy and everybody in Iceland's like, oh yeah, that's just the Quaker party. It's fine.
I mean, specifically in here, they do mention violent pornography, but I know that there's also a ban on printed pornography over there. And right now they're trying to extend it to the internet because they've done studies that say that it is harmful to children, et cetera, et cetera. So does that mean, is this going to be like a ban for everybody or what? I mean... I frankly don't even really care. I would still live in Iceland. It looks awesome. Even if there was a ban, I don't care. I'll go over there and live. You guys can whine about it all day long. I don't really care about pornography, but I just don't like censorship. So let me know, people from Iceland, what you guys think about this, what it's about. We want to know how you guys feel about it. Hey, Maddox is doing some funny things. You see Maddox, the website... The best page in the universe.net has been banned in all Apple stores. When you go to an Apple store, you can't get to it.
He might be a troll.
It's hilarious because he thought at first that it was going to be because of his foul language and all that sort of thing. But then he cited Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs has said some extremely nasty things. Even in some of his keynote speeches, Steve Jobs will get up there and swear. He'll drop F-bombs, whatever, in keynote speeches. So he's like, well, it's not my swearing. And then here he is saying what it really was about.
So I went to an Apple store and looked up a few other controversial websites and found that the Ku Klux Klan's website wasn't blocked. Neither were sites that include porn like Reddit or even Twitter. In fact, you could even look up instructions on how to make drugs if you wanted to. My website doesn't have racism, porn, or methods of circumventing drug laws on it. So if it's not drugs, porn, or racism, then what could it be? What offense could I have committed that would be so egregious that Apple would not only block my website, but then tell people that I don't even exist? Oh, that's right. I shit on Apple products on my website.
That's what it is.
We don't like him because he criticizes us.
I love that Steve Jobs picture there where he photoshopped him holding that thing at Kool-Aid. That's pretty funny. But anyway,
You must drink our Kool-Aid.
it's a funny video, guys. So take a look at it, and whatnot. So speaking of Apple, Apple might be getting into the wearable technology market with a watch, the iWatch. I watch everything you do.
Well, I think they were really surprised when people were buying the iPod Nano and, putting the custom watch housing around it.
Yeah, and there's not a big demand. I mean, the watch market is not doing that well right now. I mean, people aren't running out and buying e-watches and iWatches, but they are putting the iPod Touch or the iPod Nano on the watch. And Apple is a company who always does whatever they want and then tells the public what they want. They don't wait for the public to tell them what's in demand. They tell the public what they should be demanding. So, I don't know, could the iWatch be the next big thing? Could it be the wearable tech of the future? Could it start some new trends? Could there be a gazillion accessories and a gazillion little apps for your wrist? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
I don't really think so either. I think Google goggles is more the way that we'll be going, unless they're like projecting like a hologram or something like that, a little floating thing here, like an interface that pops up. Or
Seems unlikely.
yeah, I doubt that that's going to happen. Want to talk about excessive fines? We always talk about excessive fines.
They're trying to make examples out of people that are not really all that insane.
In Sweden, this has been translated, so it's like a bit ridiculous. But in Sweden, someone was fined damages of nearly 37 million and imprisoned for a year.
That's 37 million kroner, or about 1 point something million dollars.
Yeah,
US?
it's not 37 million dollars; it's kroner. But still, that's pretty ridiculous. And the companies involved say that they're satisfied, sends a strong signal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's still going on over there in Sweden. I know some parts of Europe, especially around Sweden, are sort of changing the way they deal with this kind of stuff. I mean, in Switzerland, it's legal to download stuff for your own use. It's legal to download stuff because they said, these companies, these media companies, are making enough money, and they left it at that. And this is an older article, but I wanted to bring this up because we're getting ready to go to something else. But Canada a few months ago, they put a cap on the file sharing penalty at $5,000. And we've been talking about how excessive they are over and over again. And the Obama administration just defended a $220,000 file sharing verdict. So the Obama administration actually spoke up in regard to all this stuff.
What I have trouble understanding is how to reconcile these punishments with real-world equivalents. So it's like,
you can't.
Is it possible to steal something from Walmart and for that to result in $200,000 of damages?
It's a misdemeanor.
I wouldn't think so.
It's a misdemeanor. If you steal a physical product and run out, and you get slapped on the wrist, and maybe a night in jail on your third offense or something like that. But that's it. You get slapped on the wrist. Maybe you pay a few dollars here and there. But $220,000 for downloading something on Kazaa? Yeah.
It really doesn't make sense. I mean, it's hard to reconcile the two. The two are really not that much different.
There's some rumors floating around about Office 2013. And Microsoft has not given us a clear statement on this. But apparently, if your computer dies and you've got Office 2013, that serial number will not work when you reinstall Windows. And Microsoft is not saying what they're going to do about this or how it's going to work. But it looks like you have one chance to install Office 2013, and if you reinstall it, you got to rebuy the entire thing. And I have a really hard time believing that Microsoft's going to allow this to happen and not like speak up and say something or set up a phone line like you can do with Windows, where you reactivate if you have to reuse your serial number and it says, hey, this serial number's been used before. You call them up and it's an automated reactivation process. But right now, Microsoft has not been saying anything about how Office 2013 is going to work, and if your system crashes, it's dead.
It looks like it's tied to your live account, and there may be some way of deauthorizing your computer and then moving it onto another one. But when you have hardware that dies unexpectedly, that is a very unusual situation. Well, I think the goal here with Microsoft is they want you to move to a subscription. They want home users to do the $99 a year subscription for Microsoft Office, or they want them to move to Office 365 or, something like that. They don't want people to buy software anymore. They want it to be a subscription.
Or you can just get Linux and, Office Libre or whatever.
Yeah, LibreOffice is pretty Microsoft compatible at this point. OpenOffice is not bad. You've got a lot of alternatives.
Yeah, it depends on what you need to do. If you need, the full features of Excel, then you're going to have to get Office. But if you don't, if you're just doing a few things here and there, then you don't need to worry about it. So speaking of software that's out of control, if you get the Adobe Creative Suite and you live in Australia, it costs $1,400 more for a digital download than it does here in the USA. And this is the CEO of Adobe talking circles around someone who was asking about that. You guys can watch this video, but it's pretty interesting. He doesn't say anything. It's amazing that a man can stand there and answer questions he just uses business terms and just talks in circles and doesn't say anything. I mean, I'm expecting him to say things like, oh yes, well the synergy of the bottom line of the monetization policy is thus that it provides a great opportunity for the well-being of... He talks like that and it makes no sense, but it's a funny video to watch and he gives absolutely no answer. But what we need to do is hold Adobe accountable because it's the same digital, basically the same thing. It's just a digital download. So Adobe stopped charging more in Australia.
I have a theory, and I think it's that Australia is a model for what they plan to do everywhere else. It's how much can they get away with charging before there's an outright revolt. And sorry, Australians, you're the
We're going to piss on them first, and then we'll just piss on everybody.
So it's like, oh, what happens if we charge Americans another $1,400? Well, they'll pay, yes, because there's not really a lot of competition for the complete Creative Suite. I mean, Photoshop is really the only thing that's got some
I'm
competition.
sorry, GIMP does not cut it. If one more person tells me that GIMP is an alternative, I will start slapping people randomly in public because it is not a true alternative to Photoshop. Paint.net, no. If you need the full functionality of Photoshop, no, it's not.
Well, and some incredible engineering has gone into Photoshop as well, but at the same time, Adobe's profit margins are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And that's even considering that they have real problems with security and they don't really have a good development team that's security oriented.
Maybe they should move to a subscription model.
Subscribe to their own security patches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you remember a few months ago we talked about CIAPC. They're the group who organized, I guess, a bunch of a police raid on that 9-year-old girl with a Winnie the Pooh laptop. Remember that? They kicked down the doors and shot people with bullets and set off C4 explosives and killed her father 6 times over. And remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So they're back. And what they've done is they've created a website that basically shows people that there are alternatives to the Pirate Bay. And what they did to make that website is they took the CSS file from the Pirate Bay, the style sheet, and used it to create a new website. So they just totally ripped it off, which is against Pirate Bay's terms of service, as if Pirate Bay could even enforce such a thing. And then they've got the little logo there of the sinking ship. So that's all they really did was replace the logo. But other than that, it's the same CSS style sheet. And even if you look at the source, the top of the page says the Pirate Bay main style sheet for the piratebay.sc. That they left that in there. They didn't even bother to change that, which I think is really funny. So the Pirate Bay is suing them.
It's a trap.
Admiral Akbar says it's a trap.
They knew they were going to get. They were going to incite the Pirate Bay. So now the Pirate Bay is going to sue them for copying something.
Well, I think that the way the Pirate Bay operates, it's really hard to know who's in charge. And if the Pirate Bay initiates a lawsuit, then
we're going to have to see some signatures on paper.
The anti-piracy outfit will know who to serve with their own lawsuit for other things. So this might, Akbar's twitching out over here.
Yeah, if I was the Pirate Bay, I would shut the hell up about this. If I were any of the guys involved, I'd be like, guys, just stand back and let this happen. Because come on, guys, the Pirate Bay, you loosely endorse, you blatantly endorse copying all the time. And then when someone copies you, you're going to go and sue them? Oh, BlueStacks. We talked about BlueStacks a while back. BlueStacks is a Windows application that allows you to run Android apps on your Surface Pro and in Windows 8. Now, what is this going to do for the Windows market? 750,000 Android apps will now be available on your Surface. Is that going to make it a more viable platform?
Well, for the 8 people that bought a Surface, maybe. But for the rest of us, no.
Well, speaking of the Surface, if you don't have a Surface or a Surface Pro, you may want to check out iFixit's teardown They gave it a 1 out of 10 rating, and 1 being the lowest you can get. I guess 0 would be the lowest you can get as far as, fixing it yourself. There are over 90 screws. Over 90 screws that you have to take out of the Surface Pro. That is ridiculous. The first step to taking it apart, you got to break out your heat gun. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I wasn't as worried about the screws as I was it weighs 2 pounds. 3/4 of a pound of that is apparently glue and resin.
Yeah, there's glue everywhere. Everything is glued down. So you have to use a heat gun to unstick the damn thing. You got that going on. And then once you get under the hood, there's 90 screws. They're little screws. They're everywhere. And they said there's a huge chance that you're going to break one of the very fragile ribbons when you're trying to pull something apart. You can take out the SSD. You can do that, but you'll probably break something while you do it. Fixing and repairing and replacing the screen is almost impossible. Yeah, there it is on the inside. So, I mean, this is worse than an Apple product as far as fixability goes. Is that a word, fixability? They use that word, fixability.
Repairability, maybe.
Repairability? Yeah, that's a better word. 90 freaking screws, man. So, yeah, if you're thinking about getting a Surface Pro, perhaps think again.
Well, in other news, we mentioned that there's a low amount of free space on this, but it turns out that if you look at the Apple MacBook Air, it's a comparable amount of free space. So maybe Microsoft's not misleading about that.
Maybe they're both misleading us.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that goes without saying.
Intel TV. We talked about this before. We talked about how Intel wants to change the living room forever. And we've also talked about all these companies like Microsoft and I don't know who else, Sony, Netflix, I don't know. Netflix wasn't one of them, but everybody who's making these little set-top boxes for your living room wants to put a camera in there to watch you. And the latest Intel news here is that their box is going to have a camera that will watch you, record data about you, and give it to the marketing people. So, yeah. That seems to be the trend right now, is anything that goes in your living room is going to have a camera in it so they can see what you're doing and make more marketing money off of you. You just got to sell that marketing stuff. At least it's going to support H.265. I don't really have much to say about this other than we are all appalled, Intel, that you guys are going to be watching us in the living room. You creepy bastards.
You guys need to learn Linux, because Linux is going to take over the world because it's the only operating system that respects your privacy.
There's a lot of science. Yeah, there's a lot of science in this episode. There's a new megavolcano. We're probably all going to die in about 1 to 200 million years. Looks pretty cool. I like megavolcanoes. They're exciting because they're destructive, and destructive things are exciting as long as no one's going to get hurt immediately, because 200 million years is a long way away.
Is this megavolcano going to destroy us all? Because I kind of think it's Yellowstone, and I kind of think it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Yellowstone, the caldera, that's probably going to go before this one, but hey, this one in a couple 100 million years will destroy us all again. We got to find a new Earth immediately. These megavolcanoes. Oh my God.
We could totally terraform the crap out of Mars if we get our ass in gear and stop fighting over oil in Afghanistan.
Wait till they discover oil on Mars. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Oil? Put on your cowboy hat, boys. We're going to Mars.
Hey, if there's any operators that are operating Curiosity on Mars, you really need to be like, hey, look, Curiosity found oil on Mars. We'll be there tomorrow.
All right, this is probably the coolest scientific discovery of the week. Yeah, a British firm has discovered a method of creating transparent, almost invisible solar panels that can be just about any color. And you just put them on top of glass. So if you have a building, you're building a giant, skyscraper, just coat the entire building in glass that's coated with these solar cells, and you're going to be cutting your electric bill by quite a bit. And here's the interesting part. It only raises the cost of the glass panel by like 10%. So it's a no-brainer for a company if they're going to be putting glass on the outside of the building, add the 10% in price, and you're done. Now, there's different efficiencies. Black is the most efficient. I think blue and colors like that are the least efficient. But if you have like black building downtown, looking nice with your invisible solar cells, that'd be pretty cool.
That's what we're going to see in the future. It's just
all the buildings are just going to be made out of that.
Yeah, I mean, the buildings are already designed to either reflect or absorb solar radiation anyway. And so now it's like, it's going to be electricity instead of heat.
Yeah. So NASA, they took some pictures of a supernova, and then they looked at it and they're like, something's weird with this supernova, and apparently we're watching the formation of a black hole for the first time ever. We're actually getting to see the birth of a black hole. And it's kind of cool they caught all this on camera. It's W49b, just going out in a blaze of glory. There's all the swirls. It's pretty cool.
Hopefully we're going to get some good data on this and have some new, scientific breakthroughs or whatever.
Yeah. Find out a little bit more about our universe. Speaking of scientific breakthroughs, the LHC is going to be switching off for 2 years. Now, this is going to be a period of time where they make some improvements and just do some maintenance. Now, in 2008, there was some errors and there was some technical failures that made the LHC operate at less than full capacity, and they've been running it since then at less than full capacity, but they're going to reopen this in 2014, and it's going to be almost double power.
Well, the LHC, if you're not familiar, is the Large Hadron Collider, and they recently discovered the Higgs boson, pretty much.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty much confirmed that the boson was discovered.
That's a subatomic component. It gives atoms mass, and so it's like the particle that makes everything have mass. And so that's really important for our sort of understanding of the fundamental elements of the universe.
So one thing that's interesting about this going on offline, a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, what are we going to do? We're going to have like 2 years of downtime. We're not going to learn anything. No, this period of time, the scientists are going to sit back and study the data from 2012. And the data from 2012, there's a lot of stuff that went on. There's like double the data in 2012 as there was in 2011.
There's
twice as much data.
There's 100 petabytes of data that need to be analyzed.
Yeah, so they've got to go through all that stuff. And who knows what discoveries may come out of just looking through that data. So sometimes it's cool to stop and just look at all your data. In a couple years, we'll be back online, and the collisions will be twice as powerful. So the most powerful collisions ever known to man will be happening.
So if there's going to be a black hole that swallows the Earth, it's going to be then. So, don't sweat it. It's cool.
Yeah. We got a couple years, at least. And then we've got to worry about if we make it through that, we've got the volcanoes and all this other crazy stuff going on. So Watson is going to be commercially available soon, and they're going to be using it mostly for medical purposes. Doctors looking for, different information while they're working on cancer patients or something like that.
One of the first customers with IBM was an insurance company, and I'm sure that they're going to use it for Watson to calculate your premiums and whether or not you get coverage.
Yeah. Watson, what do you think of this guy? I don't know, Dave.
Clearly, he's a cancer risk.
Guy looks pretty expensive, if you ask me.
We laugh, but that's exactly where it's going.
I'd say $20,000 deductible, no less. Oh, thanks, Watson. Talk about games, shall we? There's a lot of interesting things happening in this world in the game. What? There's a lot of interesting things happening this week in the gaming world. First off, last week we talked about Microsoft and Sony and their, anti-used games schemes that they're going to be building into their platforms. GameStop spokesperson came out and said, you know what, 60% of customers will not buy a console that doesn't play used games. So there's that. I don't care. Tons of GameStops are going to be closing in 2013. Lots and lots of GameStops closing the door. Sell your stock, sell your stock. Unless they develop some sort of a better digital store or something like that. They're too focused on physical goods. Let's talk about Steam. Steam is on Linux. It's officially there.
And currently there's a sale.
Yeah, there's a big sale going on right now.
Your wallet's going to be destroyed.
Yeah, there it is. Blam. Steam for Linux celebration sale. Look at them all eating cake. Are there any good games out for Linux? I mean, Faster Than Light's really good. Intrusion 2. Yeah, there's a bunch of good games. Penumbra. So we've got a number of very good games out. Of course, Source Engine games. Oh, Red Orchestra. I didn't know Red Orchestra was on Linux. So a lot of good games. A lot of good indie games as well. So take a look at that. But let's talk about the Steam box. Because Jerry Ellingsworth, she's the lady who was developing the controller for the Steam box, or one of the ladies who was working on the controller from the Steam box. Valve fired her, and she doesn't seem to be too down about it.
Well, they got rid of a lot of the developers in the hardware section, and we don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with that.
Either they're done with the Steam box and they don't need them anymore, or they're going in a different direction.
Who knows? So we'll put that up for speculation and move on to something more fun. There she is, building stuff. All right, this is my favorite news of the entire week. System Shock 2 is now on Good Old Games. This game was such a headache. If you wanted it to work on anything, anything other than like Windows 2000 back in the day, like any newer version of Windows, it was like, nope, not happening. You want to do this? Well, yeah, you got to do a bunch of compatibility hacks. It's there on Good Old Games. It now works with Vista 7, 8, Windows XP. It works with all that stuff. And the cool thing about this is they updated the game so it would work with everything, but it will also work with all of the mods that are out there. And there's some really awesome mods. I'll link you guys to a Reddit article. And in Reddit, there's just people posting links to the best mods. Some of these mods have really improved the graphics, like improve the polygon count, that sort of thing. So check that out. Now, have you played this game in a while?
I have not.
It is going to be jarring to a lot of people who are used to the FPS games. And the reason it's jarring is because while you're moving through the world, your body has natural inertia. Most games, it's just like a flying camera, like moving around. You press forward, you're going full speed. You jump, you can move in midair. In this game, as you run, you build momentum. You're also much taller than you are in most games. You really feel like a cumbersome, tall person. When you jump, as soon as you leap into the air, if you're running sideways and you jump, the inertia will carry you in that direction. It doesn't matter what other direction you press, you're not going to be able to shift directions in midair. That will not happen. It's very realistic, so you really get this, that's part of where the sense of dread comes in for me as I'm playing the game. If something is chasing you or something comes around the corner and you're like, oh, I've got to run. When you slow down to stop, you do not stop immediately. You slow down. It's very natural. I like that a lot about this game, and I wish that more games would do this. So I highly recommend playing System Shock 2 if you have never played it. It's where pretty much all the new BioShock games have, that's like the grandfather of all those games. So screw BioShock Infinite, play System Shock 2. It'll be coming to Steam soon as well, but if you want to get it without the DRM, you can grab it on Good Old Games. Chris Taylor's Gas Power Games was acquired by Wargaming.net. Now, this is interesting because they were working on a very cool game called Wildman, I think it was. Let me take a look here, the Kickstarter. Blam, there it was. Yeah, Wildman. It looked really cool. You guys can watch the video there on Kickstarter, but it was canceled, and they had raised over $500,000. They were they were about halfway to their goal. And they canceled the funding, and then were acquired by Wargaming.net. And those are the guys that make World of Tanks and all those silly games like that. If you like those games, I'm sorry, but they seem all right. Who knows what's going to come of that? Maybe this game will still come out. Maybe Gas Power Games and Chris Taylor will start producing some cool things funded by all the money that these guys make on their free-to-play online games. I don't know.
There could be good things ahead.
Could be. I mean, Chris Taylor's pretty cool. He's got a lot of cool games under his belt. There's Beer Games Beer. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anything else to go on this week? It was interesting.
Not really. Not really for this show, but the manhunt for the cop that went bad in California. They used a drone on U.S. soil to hunt an American citizen. Not really the first time that's happened, but the first time that's happened, and it's got a lot of media coverage.
Let's break this down for a minute. Now, this particular gentleman, we don't know if he was a murderer or not because he didn't have a proper trial. He was not convicted of murder. He was a suspect. And of course, it did look like he did this. That's what they made it look like. But we don't know.
But the LAPD lost their mind trying to find him.
They were shooting at women in cars.
Little old Asian ladies delivering newspapers.
Kill him. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe they're him. They shot at a guy who looked like him from the back, and the guy was running. They killed him, shot and killed someone. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It was one of the most epic. It was probably one of the most epic manhunt type things ever. And even if the guy, did kill a bunch of innocent people and things like that, it's still drones hunting an American citizen on American soil, which 5 years ago they said would never happen.
And they've got a complete license to kill without a trial.
Yeah, the guy that was running away that they shot, when you shoot somebody that's running away, that's murder. And
if you're a citizen, if you're the cops, whatever, you shoot them.
Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't really make any sense.
There's going to be guys waiting outside for us for saying things like this. So, my headache feels a little better, so thank you guys for that. Pick up Zweihander. That'll make my headache feel even better. Zweihander seems to be gaining momentum, which is really good. Working on the second album. We got 3 songs so far. So thank you guys for being cool. Subscribe. It's over there. We are going to PAX very soon, so that's going to be very cool. Let us know what you guys want us to cover while we're there. We're probably going to cover the entire trip documentary style, so you'll see all the road shenanigans and whatnot, where we stay, what we do, who we hang out with. Who knows who we're going to be hanging out with? Paul and Kyle, maybe. You guys are watching. I'll see you guys soon at PAX. And I'll see you guys next week.